There's two feelings that you may have experienced before. One is burnout, and no one likes that. And then the second one, well, it's boredom. And for many, trying to even understand what boredom feels like in a system that's so used to chaos or instability, you might not have even touched. Ladies, welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Ashley, and today we're diving into boredom or burnout and why you need to know the difference. No one likes to burn out. Now, burnout doesn't have to just be working endlessly, countless times over and over again, where you find yourself in a position where you just cannot find anything to propel yourself forward. It can also come from working in something that you hate. It can be achieving success and still feeling this deep emptiness, no joy, no satisfaction, and just empty. Burnout doesn't have to be just exhaustion. My perception of burnout, or what I've come to learn and understand, and even looking on the internet, is this: burnout must mean that I'm just so exhausted that I end up in a hospital bed, so exhausted that I can't get out of my bed for 6 days, so exhausted that I just can't do anything. And I truly believe that that's not just burnout. It can be a form of. But if we look at the different variations that I just mentioned previously, like achieving success, and getting to it and being like, the fuck is this? This is not what I thought it was going to feel like. I felt relief, not joy, not satisfaction, not any of it. And it's like this gut urging, or at least I'm going to speak from my experience right now, this gut urging being like, what? I have to do this again? Like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And so you'll reach a point where you'll be like, is this feeling worth it? And if it isn't, then you'll make a change. You'll system things better, structure things better. You just haven't worked out yet how to make things flow in your life that suit you, because we're all different. But systems and structures never fail us. It's just how they're set up for us as individuals. And then, of course, there is also the other side. There's, of course, then the other side, which is boredom. Boredom is an interesting subject because with the increase of technology, how quickly we can acquire things, call things, next day delivery, our iPhones, we don't ever have a chance to truly be bored. Not like when, well, I was going to say when we were growing up, but I'm not sure how old you are right now watching this. But for myself, I'm 33. When I grew up, boredom was in my middle name. I grew up in the country, and by country, I mean the Australian outback. So there was nothing. And if my siblings didn't want to play, then, well, off you go. Either find something to do or be bored, because boredom is creativity. But there's a select few of us that maybe we grew up in chaos. Maybe we're just addicted to chaos, the highs that it gives us, the chase that we get, the validation that it achieves. Boredom becomes something we don't want to experience. Boredom means silence. And silence means sitting with yourself. And when you sit with yourself, what do you hear? What do you have to reflect on? Is it how you showed up? Is it where you are in your life, where you want to be, where you're not going, where you thought you would be? Boredom tells us something. Boredom is also growth, because in the boredom is a chance for us to sit and reflect. And when we reflect, we can refine. And when we refine, well, we create better outcomes. But we're so addicted to whatever this is, technology, having everything now, the short dopamines. It's interesting to see how many people are actually just unaware of what boredom can do for them. So we label boredom as burnout, and that's not the case. Boredom means you just need to sit and chill the fuck out. At least that was for me. Boredom isn't a bad thing. Now, I think we get confused with, oh, I'm just going to go home and put on the TV and, I'll be fine. That's still not creating a stillness with yourself. You're still distracted. There's still something distracting you playing in the background, because then you're never truly alone. Never truly alone with your thoughts, because if I was truly alone with my thoughts, then what? What would my thoughts tell me? I was so addicted to chaos. I hated the idea of boredom. Growing up in the country, the outback, where you have these moments where you just sit in stillness, quiet, peaceful. You have to listen. I was always taught that if you could listen to the wind, you would always know which way to go. Turns out my dad was right. And then you come into somewhere like LA, Dubai, any major city, even Newport Beach, even though the beach is so close, the mountains, the everything, it's still chaotic. There's so much happening all the time that we never truly experience the level of boredom or stillness required to understand exactly what's going on within us. There's something profound that I've learned being in boredom. After I sold my gym and I traveled for a year and went and experienced, I essentially got to live with other people watching their lives, because I was just an add-in for a short period of time. And it was the most interesting thing to watch, because I'm watching the boring and the mundane, something to me that I was like, this sounds like death. But as I was watching it and watching people curate and create these deep, meaningful bonds with people around them, or deep, meaningful impact on their lives if they live by themselves, or deep inner peace that their life meant to them, I realized that boredom was the key to all of it. That boredom was no longer this profound, oh, I don't want that. It was like, no, I want that. How do I have it? How do I have what they have? How can I get myself used to the idea that boredom will be the thing that gives us this? So I want you to ask yourself these questions. If you're like watching this and you're like, oh my fucking God, Ashley, like I get what you're saying. I hear you about the boredom, but I'm running on empty over here and I just need a fucking minute. I get you. You might be a mum watching this and I cannot relate to you. And I'm not even going to try. The most experience that I've had being in proximity would be my mum. And that woman raised 5 children, all before the age of 30. And I still will never understand how she did it. She ran a household and a business. Will not understand to this day how she did it. There is something profound about understanding and being able to pinpoint when you are truly burnt out and you just need some time and some recouping and some time to re-strategize, and that's okay. Or when you just are bored and you don't want to admit it to yourself. The first time I admitted out loud that I was bored, it was like, I'm so fucking bored. With boredom with me came with 2 ways. Find something to create in the outlet, sit in the boredom, pivot. I pivoted. That was probably the biggest learning learning lesson for me was understanding that boredom, while I was burnt out because I ran for 3 years, and I say ran, I mean from my problems, from addressing situations while building a business, just life happened in 3 years and I ran. And I was burnt out. It took me a year to recover. But I put that burnout down, the fact that I wouldn't allow myself to rest and create that boredom. So maybe you need to ask yourself, if you are burnt out, what would happen right now if I stopped? What would happen right now if I let myself rest? Because the smartest people know how to rest. So what would happen if I rest? Would I actually have time and stillness to recover properly? Or would I just think that if I keep outrunning myself here, I'll be fine? Rest. And that will heal the burnout. I truly believe that if we are chasing the things that we want, burnout doesn't really happen. I prefer to work in a sprint way. Sprint hard and fast, then rest. And go again and again and again. Some people prefer to graze, and it's equated to like a cow grazes. A lion hunts, rests, and goes again. That's how I prefer to operate, but it's over long periods. Is it the healthiest? Maybe not, but it works for me. Now that I've experienced boredom again in my life, I'm looking at something through a completely different lens. I want to know what it's like to be bored in the mundane and the same thing over and over again. Because I think in those boring moments, right, the most magical things are created, at least from my experience, what I was able to witness. Your burnout can be real. I also believe that burnout is created from not wanting to rest. And if you're not wanting to rest, you need to ask yourself why. Do you believe that you're not entitled to it, that you don't deserve it, that you shouldn't have it, that you can push through? You need to ask yourself those questions and then own whatever comes up. And then ask yourself, is this how I want to keep going? And if the answer is no, then something has to change. If in that moment you know that it's a no and you loop again, you made that choice. The moment you become conscious to it and you make the same motherfucking choice, on you. We all have things that we operate unconsciously from, like preaching to the choir. I operated unconsciously for maybe like a solid, I don't know how long, because I didn't want to stop and rest, because I didn't want to reflect, because I didn't want to accept things about myself. If you've made it this far, take out a piece of paper and pen and ask yourself, is what I'm experiencing boredom or burnout? And answer it correctly, honestly. If the answer is boredom, ask yourself, what is the boredom trying to teach me? How could I use this boredom for creativity? How could I use this boredom to get to know myself more, to get to know other people around me? If it's burnout, ask where the burnout's coming from. Is it because you pushed too hard for too long? Is it because you're not doing something you enjoy? Is it because you're just hitting milestone after milestone and it's not generating anything internally for you? Or is it because you just didn't rest? because the idea of boredom terrified you so much. I know which one I was. As you go through and do all these things, like, there's literally nothing to be ashamed about. If shame does appear, that's okay. Address it. Admit that it's there. Shame means that we showed up in a way that not okay, not integrity, not whatever. And if you're willing to admit that, you will learn a lesson far greater than other people. Everyone wants to be perfect. Nobody wants to admit their flaws or where they've downfalled or anything like that. It's okay to admit it, but then do better. If you need help, if you need guidance, if you're like, Ashley, I'm in this fucking loop of achieving and I can't reach where I want to go. I need better systems and structures. I need to understand myself more. I want to change or pivot or go a different direction, but I'm just so in my head. Let's schedule a call. The link's below. Let's chat because I would love to help you. Until next time, ladies, thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next one.